How's it going, guys, and welcome to SHOT Show 2020. We are at the Hinderer Knives booth, sitting down with Rick Hinderer himself.
Absolutely. Actually, we're standing, but
we are standing. Correction. All right, and we are going to jump into some new exciting stuff that you have going on. Kicking off some fixed blades. A little bit different for Hinderer.
Fixed blades. As I said earlier, Hinderer Knives is I've been known for folders, but I started my career 32 years ago making fixed blades. So I am getting back into fixed blades with a vengeance. And what got me doing that was the Ranch Bowie. And it was a huge success. So obviously I was like, okay, I need to go forward with the Ranch Bowie and come up with other Ranch blade styles.
Right.
So the next one right after that was the Harpoon Span Toe. So the Harpoon Span Toe is obviously the Harpoon Span Toe is a blade grind that I've done on the XM18.
Right.
It's been very popular. Everybody likes the Harpoon blade shape. It adds a little bit of toughness to the tip of the blade, so it has reasons for it, not just looks. And so I made the Harpoon Span Toe in the Ranch in two different styles, I should say. What I call the modern style, which is 3V steel and DLC coated, done in a battle finish. Everybody likes the DLC in a battle finish. So I did that, and I've got a multitude of micarta handles. This is obviously the burgundy micarta. The really cool one, now this is the other blade style, which is a drop point, but I wanted to note the really cool burlap micarta.
It is. It's really neat, and it goes with that kind of battle-worn blade finish as well.
Absolutely.
Kind of the finish on that micarta looks
Absolutely.
great.
Gives it that old industrial type look,
yeah,
which is really cool. So let's go in and let's talk about the drop point. So I did the Harpoon Span Toe, which is kind of like more of an aggressive looking type blade. Tough tip and everything. But this is for like the hunters and the backpackers and the general knife use type guys.
Yeah, a little less tactical, a little more outdoor.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. The blade grind's a little bit higher, so you got a little bit less obtuse angle, better slicing ability, but at the same time, still all the toughness and everything that you want in an outdoor knife. So the drop point was a natural, after I did this, it's like, okay, let's do something for the outdoor hunters and things like that. So, and it's going to be also in 3V steel, battle black, and all of the different micartas.
Right.
Now, the other style is the Vintage series. So
yeah, which is kind of an exciting thing you're going.
Yeah.
We're going to see through a few knives in the line, right?
Absolutely. So we still haven't gone completely a year anniversary of my launch of the Vintage series. I launched the Vintage series last year at the Blade Show, 2019 Blade Show, and it was one of those things that, okay, as you know, the tactical knife world, everything is G10, 20CV, S35BN, M390,
right. Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And I'm a big collector of vintage firearms and vintage militaria, and that's my other passion. So I'm like, I want to take my other passion and put it into what I do. So I took the XM18 and I made it into a vintage. So what I did was I changed the blade steel to 01. 01 is a fantastic cutlery steel, but it goes back over 100 years.
Yeah.
So it's an old steel.
Using a lot of traditional knives, yeah.
Absolutely. And it being that it's a carbon steel, it will patina, which for me, that's great.
Yeah.
Because it tells you the use of the knife, But other than, 01 has a lot of great properties in it as a cutlery steel. But the one thing I wanted to do goes with not only with the vintage theme, because almost all military firearms back in the first part of the last century, as well as the military knives, bayonets, were all Parkerized. After very shortly after World War I, they started Parkerizing. Parkerizing is actually a very, very good anti-corrosion resistance coating.
Huh.
Very good. And so I'm like, okay, vintage, let's Parkerize it.
Yeah.
And Parkerizing only works on carbon steel, so it was perfect for the 01.
Yeah, made for the 01.
Yeah, so the other thing that I did in the Vintage series was I added natural walnut.
Yeah.
Now that's something, and you can see the natural walnut on this, on the Ranch. The one thing about the natural walnut, when I first decided to use that, because walnut stocks are used on most all the firearms back then. M1 Garand, you know, the workhorse of World War II that won the war, walnut stock. What they treated it with was linseed oil. And so that's what I wanted to use on the Vintage series. And I had some people say, oh my gosh, you need to use stabilized wood. Whoa, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, it worked really well for the guys on Iwo Jima and the guys that went in, you know, in northern France. I think it worked pretty well for them. So unless you're going to be doing that or worse, you're good.
Right.
You're good.
Yeah, you'd have to do worse because it's already.
You'd have to do worse because it's already been
literally
proven
battle proven.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. So it was a huge hit. You know, everybody, they really like the concept. It's something different. They're liking the steel.
Yeah.
And so I am going to, across the whole line of Hinderer knives, there'll be a Vintage series, which is more limited of every model.
Cool.
So,
yeah, and with this one, once you get it, it feels really good in hand too, which is what you would expect. And that walnut's not slippery at all.
No.
It's got a really good grip, really good purchase to it.
And I would say it has like a warm feel to it.
It does.
It
has a warm feel to it.
And so it's, that's, so far he's been really, really well received.
And talking about taking that Vintage series through the line.
Absolutely.
Right?
Let's talk about the XM18.
The XM18 in the Vintage series.
Into Vintage series. So this is the 3-inch, obviously, in the Vintage series. And what we've done in the Vintage series, I mean, you see, we took in, this is all stainless hardware, but we heat colored it to make it look, again, like it's been used, you know, in like an old, you know, an old knife or an old firearm. Same, we got 01 tool steel blades, Parkerized. And additionally, what we've done on the lock side on the Vintage series is we used anodizing, being this is all titanium, but we have a special way that we take and we finish the titanium and anodize it and then anodize it again. And it gives it, what I wanted was I wanted a look of old Parkerizing on 1903 A1 up to A3 guns back in World War I. The Parkerizing back then, when they put grease on it, made it look green.
Okay.
So I wanted to mimic this, and we did a pretty good job on it. And also the Vintage series, I want to add, only the Vintage series are serial numbered.
Cool.
So every one of the Vintage series is, so they get a little extra.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when they get
you know where you fall in the line. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Exactly. So that's that. And again, you'll see all the blade shapes in the Vintage series and all the XM18s and pretty much everything else we do.
Yeah, a lot of neat stuff there. And then kind of something else you brought to the show, which is kind of neat. So we've been talking about the Bally that you came out with back at Blade Show.
Yes.
And people at Blade HQ have been stoked on that. A bunch of people have been getting it in hand. And you've kind of taken it to the next level, though, with this next series here.
Yes, I have. So the Naivi's Balisong has gone through, I brought it out, and I should say the Bally community has spoken, and they had a lot of ideas, and hey, this is what we would like to see. I'm kind of old, you know. I'm just kind of old, 55. I was making Balisongs, and I collected Balisongs way before I even made knives.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like some of your first stuff was Balisong, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I know about Balisongs, but you know, being that I'm old, and the Balisong community is a young community.
Yeah.
And the flipping, it's fascinating to me because way back when we just had a couple basic tricks. Nowadays, it's amazing what these kids are doing.
Insane what these guys can do, catching it with their neck and
twirling this thing up around, and they still have all 5 fingers.
Exactly.
So what it did was it made different things or different features of a Balisong different than when I made Balisongs way back when.
Yeah.
And they all told me, hey, this is what we like. I listened to them, and I'm coming out with what I call the Gen 3 Naivis with all of those suggestions that the Bally community put in. One of the suggestions was the bite from the horns. So what I did was I took and on the back side of this area, that was where the bite was coming from. So what I did was I'm machining that smooth, so it takes out most of the bite.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole lot more comfortable flipping, doing a lot of the tricks on the front of the knife. The other thing that I listened to was the bushings. So I was, when I decided to make this sandwich style Bally, I was told that industry standard is about 1 thou over blade thickness.
Right.
Okay, well, I did that, and I had some looseness in the handles. So what I did was all of my people in the shop are very good at building knives, and our quality is absolutely fantastic across all of our knives.
You can pull any XM18 off the shelf, and it's gonna, you're getting a good knife.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
for sure.
But they have never made a Balisong before. So what
I
did,
a bit of a different beast.
Yeah, it's a different beast. And so what I did was I took all of the production I'm making personally, every Balisong that comes out of my shop now.
Wow.
I'm personally making it. And one of the reasons, the biggest reason, is because of the bushings. So I wanted to be better than 1 thou over. So what I'm doing is I'm actually less than a half a thou. So we're talking tenths. And I'm actually, and I was talking to some people that stopped up to the booth, and we were talking about that, and they're like, how are you able to do that? And what I'm doing is I'm actually, because I have the equipment,
right,
I can be able to take and precision lap and precision grind each bushing in tenths. So when I fit these, I'll fit them, and I could be a half thou. I could be only 5/10 over, and I'll be like, oh, I could do better.
Right, and
so I'll take 2/10 off of that to where there is no movement at all.
And what that translates to, guys, is you get a Balisong that has like no movement whatsoever. I mean, you pull on that thing, and any movement you're seeing in the camera is literally from me like tensioning each side. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And we've handled a lot of great Balis. There are a lot of great Bali makers out there and everything.
Absolutely.
But I would say that I'm not a flipper. I say this all the time on camera.
Me neither.
I am not a pro flipper, but I have handled a lot of Balis, and I can talk about tolerances, and I can say I've never felt a Bali that has tolerances that tight. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally feels like bearings, but there's no bearings in it.
With you putting in all that hand work and all that hand attention, I mean, this puts it in that mid-tech range.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a mid-tech Bali at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm building them all myself, and I'm actually testing each one of them myself. And if it doesn't make my standards are, when I started these, I'm a little bit eccentric when it comes to some of that tolerance, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do a lot better than that,
cool.
And so I'm really excited about these, and I'm hoping a lot of you guys give them a chance, put them in your hand, start flipping them, and you're going to find out that these are a force to be reckoned with.
That's neat. Yeah, cool. Well, a lot of awesome stuff on the table. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah, so we talked about this before. So you guys know we're asking everybody at SHOT Show what's in their pocket. I asked Rick, you guys have heard me say sometimes there's prototypes in pockets, sometimes there's new ideas that can't quite be out there. Rick has a very exciting new idea in his pocket we can't show you.
Absolutely.
But I promise.
Yeah, it's there, but we're not ready yet, but I tell you what, it's going to be gargantuous. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be a big deal. So keep your eyes peeled. We will keep you guys updated on that as soon as we can open our lips. You guys will be the first to know. Thanks so much for following along. Make sure to check out our 2020 SHOT Show playlist here on YouTube. We'll see you on the next one.